business with social media. Next up. I'll start off with describing what social media is, then we'll have a little look at the way it's used in context, some facts, figures, demographics, that sort of thing, and then I'll show you how your business can benefit from social media, and I'll use Twitter as the case study for business promotion. Social media is not teenagers talking about what they have for breakfast. That's something I am sure that's something that a lot of people think, but if we look at the figures, here we can see only 16% of the under 24-year-olds use Twitter as an example. 64% of the 25 to 54-year-olds use it, and a whopping 20% of the over 55s. So it's not teenagers. Here's a definition. Social media is the collection of tools and online spaces available to help businesses and individuals accelerate their information and communication needs. Which is a fancy way of describing there's just millions of conversations taking place online all the time, and you can be part of those conversations. Just like we're here, starting and joining conversations freely, you can do that online, and you can interact with prospects, customers, and potential business partners. And I'll show you how to do that when we get to the case study. So most people think, yeah, but why should I care about social media? What's in it for me? Well, 80% of the total UK online population visited a social networking site in May 2009, so there's an awful lot of traffic there and a lot of people. Globally, 2/3 of the internet population visit social networks. Reason number 3, visiting social networks is even more popular than sending personal emails to your friends when you're trying to avoid doing proper work. And it's growing at 3 times faster than the overall internet rate. So if you can harness that power now, it can really help your business. 13 hours is the amount of YouTube video uploaded every single minute by people. Does anybody know how long it would take to watch that YouTube video that's out there? If you watched one video after another, how long would it take? Any suggestions? 413 years. So there's a lot of it out there. People are interested in looking at this stuff. 1,382% was the growth of Twitter users from January to February 2009. 5 billion minutes are spent on Facebook every day, living around. And 1 billion bits of information are shared, blog posts, photos, notes, that sort of thing. That's every week. 93% of the people on these networks think companies should have a presence there. And 100% of those people do not want to see companies going onto social networks saying how brilliant their business is and wow, rah, rah, rah. They don't want any of that marketing stuff. They just want to interact with people and see the real face behind the business. So social media is supposed to be a dialogue and not a monologue. I've got a comment here from one of the industry specialists. Marketers do not understand channels where you have to talk and listen at the same time. The marketing industry's idea of two-way communication is to put an 0800 number and a web address on an advert and then start taking orders. This idea of a conversation gets a bit lost. 85% of social media users think that when a company have got a presence on those networks, they should be interacting with people. And I've got a comment here from Business Week. Just find my notes, skip that bit. Right. For companies, resistance to social media is futile. Millions of people are creating content for the social web. Your competitors are already there, and your customers have been there for a long time. If your business isn't putting itself out there, it ought to be. That was 19th February 2009. So how can you use social media for your business? Well, customer service is one thing you can use it for, which I'll talk about a little bit later, just briefly. You could use it for public relations, saying that you've just opened a new office, or you're launching a new product, or a new member of staff has joined. You could use it to build customer loyalty, because you're putting the name of your product and your company in front of people a bit more often, without relying on things like newsletters and printed advertising. You can use it for networking, which I'll cover in the case study, and you can also use it to create authority online, which is where you talk about current trends and important information in your industry, and then you can look like at the forefront, you look like a good source of information, so people come to you first rather than wasting time on Google. And that's how you can bring people to your company and start building your reputation. And of course you can use it for customer acquisition. So you need to define your company's social media strategy if you're going to get it right. And unfortunately, hope is not a strategy, but I've got some tips for later. So you need to stop thinking campaigns and pushing out information and start to think a lot more about conversations with these people, warming them up. So the best thing to do is go ahead and listen to the conversations, do a bit of research, go to these social networking sites and start typing in keywords that relate to your business and see what people are saying. And then you can also go and ask for help when you need it. I've got some guides with me on Twitter which are free for you to take away today. There's also a lot of information online where people are helping you get the most out of social media because it's social. So don't assume that social media is the answer to all your problems. If your product sucks, if people aren't interested in your service, don't like you as a company, then no matter how much you promote it on social media, it's not going to fix the problem. However, if you've got problems with customer service and keeping track of customers when they've had a problem, social media is a good way to do this. And the Carphone Warehouse have got a team of people out on Twitter all the time that look for customers who said, I went to the Carphone Warehouse website, waited for half an hour and the guy couldn't help me, and then I called the customer helpline and that was just as useless. And so people are out there on the social networking sites saying this about your business, you don't want that happening. So what the Carphone Warehouse do is they've got a few people and they just sign in and look for people who say Carphone Warehouse, and they say, hey, how can we help you? Sorry, the normal methods didn't help, but let me know what happens and I'll see if I can fix it. So that's a nice way of relating with your customers. For companies, word of mouth sucks and social media can help. Each time on the social networks when somebody says, hey, I got great service from this company, that gets stored on the internet. Whereas if it's just a few words shared between us here, then it disappears forever. So the more you can get these recommendations on these sites, the more it helps your business. So don't ignore the basic rules. First rule is to listen. Don't bowl in being the great I am and saying, hey, I know everything, because you'll just offend people. The best thing to do is just listen, and then, just like a conversation here, listen and then find a point when it's okay for you to break in and start saying how you can help. You need to engage with people, so don't just set up a login and then leave it collecting dust with one tweet a year or something. If you're going to do it, then you have to put a little bit of time into it. And finally, you've got to make sure that what you're doing is bringing the business benefits that you need. So that would be, are you attracting the right sorts of people with the messages you're putting out? Are you engaging with those people, or are you just boring them? Are you increasing customer loyalty? Do they come back to your site more often when you've targeted them in this way? Do you influence what they do when they arrive? And are they doing the actions that you want? So I've got a case study now on how to use Twitter.